Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to all my audiences. This is Abanti Sen, Managing Director, BizzmanWeb Pvt Ltd, introducing you to today's webinar on business systems and how to grow profits through effective business systems. In the earlier webinar, we discussed on digital transformation and its benefits for SMEs. So when we talk about digital transformation and successful adaptation of digital transformation, we need to talk about another very important aspect, which is effective business systems, without which digitalization, or digital transformation cannot be attained. So let me present you to today's PPT, and later on we'll go on and introduce our today's speaker. So let us just discuss first about today's topic, growing profit with better systems and how SMEs can increase profit through effective systems. So in today's webinar, we are going to talk about some very important aspects. What are systems and why is it necessary? We are going to briefly discuss about how to make system adaptation successful across SME organizations. And also we are going to talk about some case studies and some very important points to consider about SME system adaptation. Before jumping on to today's topic, I would like to introduce you to BizzmanWeb Pvt Ltd. The webinar today has been brought to you by BizzmanWeb Pvt Ltd. BizzmanWeb is a leading ERP and automation consulting company based in Kolkata. We are catering our services across 10+ countries. We help you define your digital transformation goal and adapt software solution as per your requirement. We provide you with customized software development. One of our major forte is ERP consulting and development, and we also do data analytics consulting. It's around 4 years old concern, and we are ISO and IAF certified. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our today's speaker. Our today's speaker is Mr. Harshdeep Gumber. Harshdeep is a chartered accountant by profession and a startup enthusiast by passion. He was previously employed at Deloitte, Mumbai for 2 years. In order to help and support the startup ecosystem in Tier 2 cities, he founded Acculegal in 2016. Acculegal is one of the fastest growing legal consulting firm in central India. Harshdeep has so far served more than 150 clients across 30 cities, including some of the most recognized Forbes companies. And his area of expertise includes legal, IP, trademark, and process consulting. Hi, Harshdeep, how are you doing?
Hello, Abanti. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, and thanks a lot to you and the BizzmanWeb team for having me here for this webinar. I'm being great. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I cannot thank you enough for giving us your precious time and basically become a speaker and spend some of your time into enlightening all our viewers. So please, Harshdeep, please tell us about your company and your services so our audience know more about what Acculegal does. Over to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. So by profession, I'm a chartered accountant, as you mentioned, but since past 6 years, I have been involved in helping businesses and SMEs to grow further and automate their processes and systems, which we are going to discuss today. Further, Acculegal Services provides a single-stop solution to all the businesses and SMEs into accounting, taxation, compliance, and all the legal needs. So we have an in-house team of CA, CS, and lawyers to give you the best quality services that you might need. So think of us as your legal and financial extension of your company, a virtual CFO, I may say. So that's
Wow.
what we have been doing for past 6 years. So without a further ado, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for introducing your services and your company brief to us. And should we go ahead and jump on to the topic?
Absolutely, absolutely. We should straight jump on with it and give some value bombs to our audience.
Thank you so much. So audience, we'll discuss more about Harshdeep's expertise in next couple of minutes. Let's just jump on to today's topic, which is system and process for business. So let's now just simply try to define what is system and process and how does they work. So systems are a set of work functions which interact to accomplish a common goal. You can think about or take an example of your entire accounting system. The way the finance and the inflow or outflow of finance happens in your company works as a single system. So this is a system is all about. Now, if we break down a single system, we might found a single system is made up of different processes. So now let's try to understand what processes are and what processes stand for. Processes are a series of interconnected steps that produces a specific output. So basically, process is a workflow. So you can consider about an assembly line process where different type of operations are defined. So it's step 1, step 2, step 3. Whenever you put the raw materials in a assembly line, through series of quality steps and quality checking, they finally give you the end output, which is a finished product. So therefore, process is what you go and you build step by step so that you can ultimately build or land on a system. Okay. Now, why systems are necessary? Systems make organizations more or companies more coordinated. When you are coordinated, you become more organized. And when you become more organized, then you become more focused on producing a quality output. Am I right? Also, being organized make the level of output always qualitatively better. It makes the output, whatever output that is coming up, it makes it qualitatively better and measured. Also, the team coordination is excelled if you're working in a systematic way. So the roles and responsibilities and the set of processes, workflows are always defined. So whoever is carrying out the work knows exactly what he is supposed to do. Let's take an example. Just compare a taxi booking with a business operation. So in business, what we do, we set an objective. We try to find out a proper workflow. So the objective becomes a destination and we become the navigator. So it's our duty to find out the right path through which we can reach the destination on time, before time, without spending much of our resources. And in business's context, just think about it, in business's context, we are not the drivers. Most of the time, our systems and our human resource is the driver with whose collaborative effort are going to take you to the final objective, which is your business goal. So that's why system and processes are important. If we talk about business process in terms of information system? How does it affect our organizational efficiency? So obviously, when you put or utilize an information system, it automates manual tasks and it becomes automated task. So whenever step 1 ends, step 2 is automatically resumed or starts. So there is no hassle or there's no miscommunication in between. Now think about different areas of business and how systems or implementation of better systems can help you achieve better ROI in all these areas. Think about your manufacturing or production, or if you're into service, think about how you deliver the services. So obviously, assembling your raw materials, checking quality of the produced goods, gauging or calculating the bill of materials. If you go in a systematic order, you will be always able to measure and track the end output. Think about another very important area in your business, which is sales and marketing. If you automate your customer relationship management process, you can easily identify your potential customers and their buying trends. If a customer is not taking your service and it's leaving your pipeline, you can measure that and just do a back check why the leads are not converting. You can also generate customer awareness. You can do a little bit R&D on the pricing optimization for different set of vendors if you have a systematic workflow. Next, let's move on to a very, very important area in your business, which is finance and accounting. Your business cannot survive if there are errors in your accounting process. From paying your creditors to creating financial statement and to ultimately realization of the profit in your concern or business. You need to be system oriented for your accounting system, very obviously. And another aspect of any business is P, or the people in the 3 Ps of your organization, which is obviously the human resource. Systematic strategies in terms of HR can actually help you doing the performance management or performance evaluation and allocation of better resources for individual tasks. So as we can see, all these areas work as pillars for any business. And if you just replace manual systems with proper defined systems, you can actually achieve better ROI from each of the business functions. Now, another very important aspect, business functions never work in individual manner. These are all interconnected functions. So your sales is always dependent on your inventory. Your manufacturing is always dependent on your inventory or your accounts. And similarly, all the business processes that we think about or we generally try to define are interconnected. So if you're going in a systematic manner, there would be provisions that you can interconnect all your business functions. So the processing time, the lead time are always minimized. As we talk about the benefits of system adaptation, let us now discuss in which areas specifically the SMEs need to pay attention in terms of system or system orientation. Transaction processing systems. Whenever a financial transaction is happening, it has to be electronically recorded. And also very importantly, your customers or your vendors should pay or receive payments electronically or through online transfer. That actually removes a lot of leading time and hassles. Decision support systems. So obviously, when you are able to generate reports, you make better decisions. And also executive information system, which is just overall visibility across all your systems or all your business processes. But let us now just focus on the real-time scenario. Are we really focused on being system-oriented? In real-time scenario, in many of the SMEs, we do not have the luxury to pay proper focus on being system-oriented. Why? Because majority of the tasks that we do are always on the firefighting mode. In a way, to just set the priorities on fulfillment or say credit realization, we sometimes give systems a backseat. So on this note, I'll go back to our today's speaker, Mr. Harshdeep, and I have some questions for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Harshdeep, as we already know, in your professional career, you have came across and you have consulted a lot of companies, very renowned companies. So just tell me from your experience, what do you think is the level of adaptation for system adaptation in terms of SME businesses?
Thank you so much for the question. But one fact I would like everyone to know here, and it's quite a fun fact. So in all my experience of dealing with companies, mid-corporates, SMEs, so in India currently, there is more than 10 million SMEs and small businesses registered.
Correct.
With the SME department. But if you see the fact that only 10% of such SMEs, that means only 1 million of such SMEs is governed by a proper system-driven management. Rest 90% is governed by the owners themselves.
Correct.
And on the other hand, our government, the Indian government has envisioned that the economy of India, the Indian economy, will be doubled to $5 trillion economy. And to boost SMEs, they have launched several schemes. So one thing I often ask people that where is this one challenge that you face? And I think the maximum number of people have said that they have a solid backlog in scaling up. So I often tell them that scaling up is something which you cannot do it alone. If you see examples, you have team. If you see any sports, there's a team involved to make you success and cross that line. So I think as far as level of adaptation and SMEs in India is concerned, so they have been doing pretty well. They have a significant amount of ratio in terms of Indian exports. But yes, when it comes to scaling, when it comes to systems and processes, they take a backseat and they think that system and processes is something which is very costly and which is very time consuming. But I think that's a myth, and as we go forward into this presentation, they'll definitely know that this is not it, and they can actually scale to a better business, and they can go global with just adopting few simple tricks and hacks and few simple tools to make that business scalable.
Yes, thank you, Harshdeep. So just the way you described or gave that answer on that note only. So generally it is said that being system oriented is always the third step. So because when somebody starts a particular business, the business starts or the operation starts with its own thought process. And then it's actually true for SMEs. That is how I think me and most of the SMEs or startups start their journey. So we start with what we think is right and how we want to do our work and what needs to be done. And then we hire, or business owners start hiring people. So by then we actually start realizing that we cannot do it alone and we need good team, we need a backup with us, and we need to delegate. So while delegating, if you don't have a proper system in place, what happens in second step, actually the thought process of your employees take over. So it's your human resource who are running that organization. And by the time you identify the gap of your own thought process as well as your employees' thought process, the gap in both of the areas and both of the efforts, you start feeling that proper systems are necessary if you want to basically block or if you want to minimize the bottlenecks. But I think again, sometimes system-oriented approach expose a lot of vulnerability into the human resources side, and whatever is not being done right gets completely exposed. So there is always resistance and a fear that come across. So what do you think is the right approach for an SME if he or that particular organization wants to become system oriented?
Correct. So adding up to you, very well said in terms of explaining how they can implement the systems and how human resource plays a very important role. So eventually, it's a quote that people and management gurus often quote that you should not become a successful businessman. You should become a successful people manager. So if you can
Correct.
manage people, you can manage your business very well. So I think when I have asked this question to SMEs and businesses throughout my journey, the one answer that I have realized, and you also spoke about this during your explanation, was SMEs, small business owners, and entrepreneurs often indulge into firefighting. They think that they have to do everything themselves. So whenever I ask them, like, why haven't you built a system around this process, or why there is a proper, organized structure to manage your business? So they often say that it cannot be done in our business. We don't have time. We don't have the resource to do it. So all these things, they think that this is the hindrance. But then I ask them three basic questions, which I am going to put it here as well for people to understand.
Please.
So if there's any business, and if I ask them that, where is the area? Can it be sales? Can it be marketing? Can it be accounts? Can it be HR? So where is this? Identify the area where you spend maximum number of hours throughout your business time. Correct? If you can identify that, the second step is to identify, can you delegate, as you rightly said in your presentation, can you delegate this task to your existing team members? If the answer is yes, do that right away. If the answer is no, can you hire someone within your resources to do that task for you?
Okay.
So if you do these three steps, eventually the ultimate question is, now you have ample of time to actually strategize and think your business through and scale it to the next level. And the only resource that is useful for a business is time. And these systems, these processes, these ERP, these tools help you manage your time well. So I think that is that should be the right approach, that you will be free. And that is, I think, one of the biggest challenge that businesses face, that they don't have time. Now we are helping them gain more time through this. So that should be the right approach for them.
Absolutely. Time is money. And as a business owner, you need to utilize your time, not only in operation, but you have other much more important tasks, and that can be doing marketing, that can be taking strategic decisions, and that can be basically doing the R&D on your next 5 years plan and stuff like that. So absolutely correct. I can't agree with you more, Harshdeep. So we'll just carry on the discussion and again return back to our main topic. So now talking about systems, and coming from an IT background, I just cannot basically stop myself from just giving a little bit brief about enterprise level systems, which are basically the enterprise level software systems or programs, and what are the necessities. So we have seen people transform their business models and their strategy and their entire operation from manual to completely organized enterprise level solutions, and they have scaled their business from one unit to multiple units, from 10% growth per year to more than 50 to 60% growth per year. So that is why, I think it is the enterprise level solutions are the most sought after and talked about case studies in terms of processes. So I'll just explain a little bit about enterprise systems. So what are enterprise systems? Let us understand. Enterprise systems are computing systems. These are complex computing systems or computer programs which can handle large volumes of data. Why? Because it enables a particular organizations and all its business function, starting from your sales, to your accounting, to your procurement, to your supply chain, to your delivery, and lots of business functions, whatever is necessary in terms of or according to your industry. It integrates all the functions through one single central database. And what happens when you get your data stored or processed centrally? It gives you the opportunity to coordinate across departments. So these are single systems with different user levels. So the accounting person or the accounting department is using a different user level. The sales or the marketing people are doing or using a different user level. And you being the business owner, you have the admin rights and you have complete visibility across all your systems. That is what enterprise systems are all about. What are the main types of enterprise systems? So enterprise systems can be largely classified based on the existing business systems or functions only. So if you have a predominant sales strategy or sales process in your company and you have multiple sales guys in different regions or country or city, you need to utilize a CRM, which is a customer relationship management. So whenever an inquiry is generated and then basically qualifying that inquiry, then raising the quotation, raising the sales order, doing the invoicing, all these steps are taken care through a CRM software. And what it does, it's actually generate customized report based on your product needs, based on your forecast, the conversion rate and the efficiency of your sales team. So the entire sales data is at your hand and you can do the analysis of it. The second type of solution or enterprise system is an ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning Softwares. So ERPs are basically complex and end-to-end systems. So an ERP doesn't only limit itself only in the customer or only in the delivery part. It starts from CRM and it ends with the delivery of the order and whatever process that is required to give that end delivery possible to your customer. Apart from it, we also have some similar solutions or enterprise systems, just like SCM or supply chain management solution, which takes care of your order fulfillment process. We have supplier relationship management or SRM. What is SRM? So suppose if you have a huge distributor network, so your goods are reach customers through different level of middlemen. That can be super distributor, that can be distributor, that can be wholesaler. So that entire flow of goods and return can be managed by a SRM. Then we have product lifecycle management or PLM. So initiating, if you're trying to initiate and launch a new product in the market. So from ideation to testing till launch, the entire life cycle you can manage through a PLM software. And also in today's time, when mobility is widely used, we have seen different type of small or microservice or applications in existence, and they can be integrated with your ERP, CRM, or enterprise level software. That can be something like an e-commerce where you digitalize your business model and you digitalize your like customer value process through online booking system or order management system. So the applications can also become a very integral part of an enterprise information system. So why are enterprise systems necessary? Let us have a look at the different areas or the level of influence this enterprise system have over your organization. So let us first talk about the operational benefits. It is very evidently like realized or observed that if you go on a systematic approach and you automate your workflows through software, your cycle time is reduced visibly. That means the time to complete one particular task, what used to be done manually, obviously is decreased after automation. So obviously the response time and everything, every aspect, it actually reduces the lead times, and which actually adds on to your profits, because your organization is becoming much more efficient. Your organization is becoming much more productive. Also, there's quality improvement happens across different levels. So when you are going systematic, there are checkpoints. So whenever a bottleneck is happening or your product or service is not, probably there's a chance that it would not make the supposed quality, the machine or the system would generate notification to you. And also customer service. So in today's world, I think it is becoming increasingly difficult to satisfy our clients. But if you have knowledge and data about your customers' needs, wants, and preferences, I think you can win a lot over your competitors. So these are the operational benefits that we can see, and the list is vast. I think if we talk about the operational benefits of an enterprise system, we have to do a separate webinar. So I'll just choke out some simple points in front of my audience. Now let's come to the next point, which is the managerial benefits. How do the managers or the decision makers of the companies, they benefit if an enterprise system is implemented? Improved allocation and control of organizations' resources. How much time they are spending in which task, and where you can minimize or increase the, where you can minimize the cycle time or the processing time and increase the efficiency, you can actually visibly see through an ERP software, because enterprise systems are deadline-based systems. When you start a task, you put a deadline. When you end a task, you can measure whether you have done it within the cost, within the forecasted resources, or within, say, within the stipulated time. So everything is measured, and also it gives a 360 view of whatever is going in your operation. So being a management person, you can actually see the KPIs, the KRAs, which are on real time. When you have proper data of your processes and your people, the performance analysis or the performance review becomes very easy. So you see whatever is there and you see nothing but the truth. And that is probably the most important benefit in managerial aspect if you talk about enterprise level system. Now, what are the strategic benefits? The only strategic benefits that is applicable to across all levels are the decisions that you take are backed by data, that become backed by data. You don't take decisions based on your biases or based on any nuance. You take decision based on the data the machine or the system is generating. And another intangible benefits, some of the intangible benefits that can be seen across your organization is the ease of doing work actually increases manifold. People know what they are supposed to do, people know their timeline, and people actually understand what is the end goal of doing this job. Okay, so the ease of doing work becomes easy, collaboration becomes easy. Nobody has to ring up anybody, rather just drop a ping, drop a mail, and everything is there in the system. Also, it brings a lot more accountability from your employees, because somewhere down the line, they know that whatever they are doing in their regular operation or their task or job is being monitored real time. So there's no place any manipulation can happen. So these are very important benefits. And I think for SMEs, because since we don't have a lot of managers, we cannot afford a lot of managers in our organizations, these specific areas are very important if we are planning to scale and increase our profits. Now, again, we'll go back to Harshdeep and just like ask him to tell us some of the relevant questions, whatever we discussed in last slide, just an addition to that. Harshdeep, what do you think? What should be the stepwise approach, or what exact steps the companies or the SMEs need to take to smoothly integrate systems into their organization or workflows?
Yeah. So I think there are plenty of things out there in the internet. There are plenty of things that people have said, but I believe that there are a few steps which I believe every company or every SME, if they take and if they plan it accordingly, they can easily transition from a owner-driven business to a system-driven business. So I think the first of all, the SMEs or the business owner should be ready, and they should accept that the business is going to change. The first and the foremost thing is, like, you should think of it from an open mind. Secondly, once that is done, the most important step is to plan your goal. So whatever things you want to achieve, whether you want to free up your time, whether you want to increase your sales, whether you want to do something on a strategic level, not on the operational level. So you need to figure it out. What is your end goal? So you should plan your end goal. And then once you do that, you map it on a paper. So in simple terms, write it down that if you want to achieve this particular goal, what all things that you need to do. So map it on a paper, make it a flow chart, make it a step-by-step process. Once you do that, your half of the task is done. You need to think and you need to write it down. So these two steps will help you halfway there. And once you do that, then you just need to set out responsibilities for the processes, for the points that you have written it down. Set out, like, this employee or this manager will be responsible for doing this task. This person will report me the things that have been done on this particular task. You need to make sure that whosoever is doing things and someone else is checking it, so you are not anyway involved in that process. So make yourself free of that. So once you assign that to your stakeholders, your employees, your team, your management, then test it out. Don't directly ask them, now from tomorrow onwards you will take care of the business. No, that's not how it is done. You need to test it out. Give them small samples, give them small give them small assignments to do. See whether they are working well or not, the coordination is working well or not. So once you test it out, then you release it to actual business. Then you implement it to your actual business. So one good example that I always quote from a finance background, obviously. So whenever an invoice comes into your store, showroom, or business or organization, wherever. So the first thing that an owner-driven business would do is the owner will actually see it. Or if there is a customer walking in, the owner gets up from the chair and tells them what to do and what not to do. So they take up the task on their own, but rather observe whether your team is able to handle that or not. So this is how you test it. This is how you see whether there is any loophole or not, and then see how you can gain reports. And I think once you implement it, then you can just monitor it. So keep repeating this process step by step, make departments. And once you do that, I think the integration would be as smooth as possible.
Okay. So very rightly said, Harshdeep. But just tell me, like it's a common problem everywhere that people tend to become very uncomfortable with new systems. So how can we handle that situation? How do we handle that situation? Are we mean to accept that some people will leave or will reject the system, and we have to accept that and go? And what should be your advice on that?
And I think great question. I think most of SMEs, most of business people, they have this reluctance and they have this resistance towards it. They have this possible friction to adopt these things and this technology. But I think this has been quite a known fact. Whosoever accepts change will go ahead. Whosoever resists from change will stay there, right there, and the competitors will move ahead of you. So you have to bring in an open mind. You have to think like an entrepreneur. You have to experiment things with your business, because your product is good, your team is good, everything is good, your service is good. But what's the good point if you cannot scale it to rest of the world? You will be just staying there, and eventually your market will vanish. So bring on to the open mind. Think that what can you do to automate your business? What tools, what people you can consult to, what ERP systems, what things that you can do to expand it to different horizons. I'm sure there would be people who would be reluctant to it, but I think we should look at the bright side, and we should look at examples who have we have in the market, to see eventually that the people have taken to the next level through these systems and processes.
Correct. I think we'll be able to absorb and benefit much from the way you shared the idea. And I think that's very, very beneficial for a lot of SMEs. Again, after if we start off automating or our processes, or implementing better systems, so majorly what tools can we use? And we are not talking about pricey softwares or very expensive or humongous programs here, but what can be the action starter for us? What tools can we use?
Absolutely. I think the best example that I could think of right now is think of any business 100 years or 50 years, or let's say, for example, 25 years ago. How any business would manage with such quantum when there were no systems, no processes. There were still tools available. There were still systems that helped people to manage their business without any technology. Correct? Back then, how difficult would it be? So
yeah, absolutely.
In real terms, the tools can be as simple as your register in which you maintain document in and out. The tools can be as simple as your vouchers, or as simple as your customer feedback form and who takes it. So it can be as simple as that. But fortunately, in this era, in this century, we have people, we have small tools like Google Sheets, Excel, and all these things, and different small software, small free tools that is available to manage it. But eventually, I think going forward, you can just experiment and try to adopt these things. Going forward, you will have to be dependent on as you said, in customer relationship, there's CRMs available. in sales, there's specific sales funnels available. So in that sense, you need to actually look out and see that which department is in dire need of adopting these small tools. And I think that can be a very good approach to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I always tell people to start off with something which is easy to use and easy to teach and easy to implement. And when they think it's the right time, so it is very important to become comfortable of being system oriented and walking everything through processes. So when you think you and your team is comfortable, you can onboard into a bigger and better and a robust system anytime. Thank you. I think this is going to be a very big myth buster for many of the people. And again, we have spoken about steps, we have spoken about tools. Now, just your take on how better processes or better systems influence growth.
I think, in my opinion, I might sound biased, but in my opinion, better systems, better processes accounts for 90% of your success rate or your growth rate. I think if you as a business person who have actually started it, you as an entrepreneur, or as a founder, as a managing director, if you cannot take out time to strategize and to scale your business to the next level and to think of might it be networking, might it be sales, might it be marketing, but if you as a business person cannot take those decisions due to lack of time, I think that business person or that founder or that entrepreneur is in dire need to build systems and processes. And I think that's not just it. People have built systems, processes, but they need to actually adopt it. Think of it from your management's point of view, from your staff's point of view, from your team's point of view. So a good business person is someone who takes them all. And I think earlier people used to say that master of one, jack of all never succeed.
Yeah.
So
jack of all trade, master of none. Yes.
Yes, but I think people used to say master one art that you have. But I think in today's era, I personally feel, and I have tweaked it a little bit. I think you have to be a jack of all trades. You cannot be a master of one. To run a business, you have to know every single thing. Small bit, but you need to understand these nuances, and then only you can influence your growth through these processes.
Correct. I mean, great points, Harshdeep. I think this discussion of ours is becoming more and more interesting every time I come back to you. So on that note, on the growth influences that are made possible by process orientation, we'll jump on again, come back to our main presentation. I have a surprise. So for all the audience, I actually have a sample Excel sheet. If you're still doing your inventory and purchase and returns and like basic accounting manually, I have something to share for you. Harshdeep, just tell me if you see my screen becoming visible. Is it visible?
Yes, absolutely. I think, yes, it is.
So in the last few slides, we just discussed that system orientation doesn't have to cost too much. So just see, I have a sample sheet for you all. Just using a free Excel, what all can you manage? So this is basically a inventory optimization sheet. We have a vendor master sheet here. We have a customer master sheet here. We have a stock optimization or stock management sheet. We have inventory report, and we have item-wise report. I'll just give a little brief how you can utilize simple Excel sheets to optimize your inventory. So here you can maintain entire data of vendors, starting from their initials, their name, their address, their email ID. You can also put other details like their GST treatments and their bank account details and stuff. In terms of customer, also we can add or maintain a lot of data starting from their name, their address, their email ID, phone number, but taking the data while you do a transaction, while you sell something, or while you while you negotiate with a client is very important. So if you do know that you need to take the data, you can register it in a simple Excel sheet only. So your customer database only grows, and you can send promotional calls, and you can get in touch with your customers whenever you have some discount on some offers going on. And you can also register the pipeline details also, whether the quotation has been sent, whether the next follow-up has been done. And in Excel, you can also set reminders these days. Another very interesting sheet I have here. So if you add on vendor and customer's name, you can actually fetch that from the drop down only. There are different Excel functions or formulas through which you can do this. And all the Excel formulas are there with me. If anybody wants any help regarding this, drop a comment, or you can share your email ID, and I'll be sending you this sample Excel sheets and all the shortcut formulas along with a PDF. Okay, so you can register the stock items name. If you guys follow IDs, if there's any specific ID that denotes any particular product, you can register. The current quantity you can put here, and this particular field will affect your inventory report. Here you can put your reordering level, your starting stock on hand, your stock and value, the location exactly where the stock has been stored, your vendor's name, whoever supplies that product, and you can put other comments as well. We can create sample inventory reports as well. Name of the item, and if you correspond the ID number with the item, you just have to put the ID number, and the product and other details will fetch. You can put your total purchase quantity, your purchase cost, your average purchase cost, your total quantity of sales, your total sales price, your average price, your stock in hand, and the value of stock in hand. So these are very important parameters that you need to regularly check. Now let's come to the monthly report. So this is how you can manage the balance, and whatever you feed in this particular sheet would be auto-reflected in your monthly sheet. And then we also have the item-wise data. The starting balance, the date, the name of the vendor, the customer whom you have sold, the PO, the purchase invoice number, the quantity, the cost per item, and the total cost will be calculated automatically. So I think not briefly, but I have given you an idea how a simple Excel sheet can also help you in making the things or the movement of your stocks automated. Now let's go back to our main presentation. So when we know how to implement systems and what are the necessities, now let's check how your goals can be achieved through systems. So as a business owner, we always try to, and it's very necessary for us to set an objective. Without an objective, without a target, the end output would never be the same. So it's very necessary to define a goal or objective. So after an objective is set, so suppose we need to increase our sales by 20% every month. Then what you do? The next step in any business is to do a strategic analysis. We think about what should be the strategy. What should be the strategy if we want to increase the sales by 20%? The next step in the cycle is again thinking about the business model. What differently we need to do apart from what we were doing it earlier. So we just need to give a little focus about the business model and how we used to sell. That can be the price, that can be the discount, that can be the way we were marketing, that can be our sales channels. And once you're sorted on your strategy, and once you're sorted on the model, the next step in the cycle is again the design of systems. So as you see, systems are a very important point in the cycle of achieving a business goal. Because when you ideate a specific system from your strategy, it influences the next step, or it starts the next step. So when the systems are ready, you implement that in your operation. So suppose if something goes wrong in your systems, all the other steps would be influenced. And just ahead of systems, what we have the operation. So if you want to increase your sales by 20%, and if you don't have effective systems to make that happen, your sales guy or your sales mechanism will not operate to achieve the end goal. So this is where we know, and this is how we know a proper system can help you achieve your business objective. Now, the most important point and the exact topic of today's discussion: how systems can make you earn more profits. So we did a little research on the internet about the areas that actually troubles most of the SMEs in terms of making less profit, or what troubles them when they try to make more profits, what decreases their profit margin per se. First of all, you need to think about your order management process. Do you have the right infrastructure, the right inventory, the right resource to fulfill that order? So whenever an order comes, you know your levels or your infrastructure is just ready to take that order and confirm the client that yes, whatever service or product you are looking for would be fulfilled in the right time. And also order management also requires you to start, whenever you confirm an order, the next step should be activation of all other points of delivering that order. This is where you need to do a lot of optimization in terms of decreasing the lead time. If you don't accept the order in lesser time, how do you think you are going to make more profits out of your business? Secondly, most common problem of SMEs is credit management. So we sometimes forget how much credit we are just laying around in the market, and we are not being able to realize that. So if you are using a particular system, you register that and you maintain the credits for all your customers, for the vendors, and it actually helps you in better cash flow management. Next step, order fulfillment. If you're taking an order, it's your duty to fulfill that order and to produce the order of the same quality that the customer has experienced while purchasing. So the order fulfillment process, again, it's a very complex process for many of the industries. So if we talk about, say, manufacturing, if we talk about omni-channel retailing, these are very, very difficult and complex processes. And without having efficient systems, the value chain is always going to break halfway. So you need to be spatial aware of the systems that are involved in your order fulfillment process. Next is order shipping. The customer wants it to be delivered in 7 days and you deliver him after 2 weeks. Do you think your customer would be there to receive the order, or your customer would not choose any competitor of yours over you if you are delaying the service or the delivery of your product? Yes. If you don't have a proper order dispatch mechanism, again, the supply chain is going to fail and you are going to lose customers badly. Those customers are never going to return because they will have this impression that this is not a trustworthy company. I have paid for this order. I have not got the order when I required. Next point, a very important point, customer invoicing. How do you take payments from your customers? Do you send invoices online? How do you make the returns or the refunds possible? Are they online transactions? If it's not online, it's going to again take a lot of time for you to process the payment and for the customer to receive the payment, isn't it? And even from your end, if you don't have online payment system, how you are going to realize the cash flow in your organization? Because there would be no instant transfer happening. You should get, and most of the time you should get, if you're into fast selling commerce or e-commerce, you need to get the advance or get the majority of the price or the charges during the order fulfillment process only. Also, if you have proper systems, you can basically you can make easy payment collections because there are deadlines, mails, automatic calls that you can send to your customers or debtors. And again, most importantly, in today's world, if you don't have enough data of your operations, you cannot move ahead. You cannot take strategic decisions, and you cannot basically improve anything, any of your functions. You don't know where you're lagging. So obviously you're not being able to improve anything. So these are the areas. Just think about these 7, 8 areas. If you optimize these few areas, how much profit you are going to make and how much more profit you are going to make just after making all these areas a bit systematic or process oriented. So I think the discussion on systems has already come to an end. And I'll again go back to Harshdeep and ask for his final advice. What do you think, or what is your advice for or to the SMEs for growth hacking through system?
My one advice to all the people out there who are willing through an open mind to adopt these systems and processes, the only one advice that you would require is be consistent. Do not drop or do not make it a hurry. Keep it slow, keep it fragmented, take it step by step, but be consistent. I have seen people adopting processes, adopting systems, all hi-fi software tools, or as simple as a Google Sheet that Abanti showed. But I think if you are not consistent with it, and if you leave it middle ground, you will never be able to achieve what you exactly want or whatever your plan or vision is. So I think persist always and be consistent. With consistent efforts, sky is the limit. I think that's one advice for everyone out there. Start
I
small,
think
take
with
baby
that,
steps, but be consistent.
I think with that, we already got our key takeaway that when you talk about systematic or system-oriented approach, consistency is the key.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Any
If you're
other
not
takeaway,
consistent,
Harshdeep,
yes.
you need
Yes,
to mention or you want to mention?
yes, yes. And I think the other takeaway and I think the other positive side, apart from all the things that you have said and you have shared with all of us, I think the major takeaway would be the practical approach when you showed the Excel sheet. I think that shows if people are willing to do and achieve systems and processes and to automate and to organize their businesses well, and if they're serious in getting the business to the next level, I think that is something that they need. Now you have given them a tool, you have shown them how Excel sheet, a mere simple Excel sheet can help you guys in doing this. Then think if some professional comes on board, then what all things that you could achieve. I think that was my key takeaway, and I am going to recommend that sheet and I'm going to show this thing to all of my businesses, all of my people that I am going to meet future in my experience and in my journey. I think that was the key takeaway. And I think don't always keep firefighting. You are surrounded by good people and you have your network. Use it, explore it, and eventually you'll be able to organize everything.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, last webinar, we discussed briefly on the mindset, like as a business owner, the kind of mindset you have, whether it's a growth hacking mindset, whether it's an innovation oriented mindset, that's going to influence across all levels. I mean, the vision you see is ultimately the vision, your employees
You set the
imbibe.
benchmark. You rightly
You
said.
set the benchmark, yes.
Yes, the founder or the director sets the benchmark. The people will follow you. If you are a true leader, people will follow you. And if you adopt things, they will certainly adopt it as well.
Correct, correct, correct. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think on this note, we have come to the end of our discussion today. I'll just like to end the meeting with a very interesting quote. So William Edwards Deming is a very famous American management consultant. So he was basically an engineer turned professor. And then in the early 90s, when the business and the management books were being written, he was one of the key pioneers of management thinking. So he says, if you can't describe what you are doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. And so he has simply put what process actually denotes in business. So actually the processes are nothing but your vision and your own mindset. So on that note, we'll end today's webinar. Again, Harshdeep, it was an absolute pleasure, absolute honor to have you with us today and discuss all these very important aspects of system orientation amongst SMEs. And I just hope we'll get your time again some weeks later for another webinar or another online discussions for our viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think thank you and the entire team who has made this possible. And I think you guys are doing some great job in not only giving people value, but also making businesses aware about their potential. I think that's something that we all need. And that's how I think we'll soon be reaching to $5 trillion economy. I think kudos to you and your team.
Thank you. Thank you so much. As a company, we always try to act as partners. So again, digital transformation is a very, very hazy and very complicated topic. So as you know, the IT partners, we always try to keep a realistic approach and try to understand every client's need through the way they operate. And I think we have, for last 4 years, we have worked for a couple of very good companies, and we gathered immense knowledge on how to take the traditional businesses into digitalization and ultimately transform them digitally. And so that's what we do. That's what we actually try to do. And thank you so much again. And for our viewers, I would like to say, if any of you want to personally contact Harshdeep, you guys can drop a message in our Facebook page or in Messenger or to me, and I'll definitely give you the contact details of Harshdeep. And thank you again for all your support. And again, a commitment will organize or come up with another very interesting topic for SMEs after 1 or 2 weeks, probably. So stay tuned. Thank you so much. This is Abanti Sen, Managing Director of BizzmanWeb Pvt Ltd, signing off. We are your digital transformation partner. Thank you and good night. Okay.